Hello, this is Mr. Dutta, and I'm going to discuss the Mohs hardness scale. As I've mentioned already, the Mohs scale is used to determine the hardness of most minerals. You can purchase a Mohs hardness kit from most hobby stores. They look something like this. They have 9 minerals inside of them, and each one gets progressively harder. You can use these to actually test the hardness of minerals to determine what exactly the mineral is. Now the scale itself goes from 1 through 10, with 1 being the softest and 10 being the hardest. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to talk a little bit about each of the minerals at each level. So the first mineral we're going to talk about is Tulk, which, like I mentioned, is the softest mineral. Tulk is a mineral that's used for many purposes, one of those purposes being baby powder. So this mineral is essentially ground up and used in baby powder, and then the baby powder is used for whatever you need to use it for. Number 2 on the Mohs hardness scale is a mineral known as gypsum. Gypsum is actually one of the ingredients used in sheetrock, which is a building component. You may have seen this in your own house or apartment. This is essentially what makes up most walls because it's cheap and it's a good method of thermal insulation and sound proofing most houses, so they do tend to use this in most buildings. You can also use gypsum in plaster, which is, I don't know if you have much experience with using that, but if you've ever had a cast made, like you broke your arm or your foot or something, the cast is made out of plaster, and one of the ingredients in that is gypsum. Number 3 on the Mohs scale is calcite. Calcite has a bunch of uses, one of those being in cement. It's actually an ingredient used in cement along with other materials, but one of those materials is the mineral calcite. Number 4 on the Mohs scale is fluorite. Fluorite is an interesting mineral. It's kind of bluish purplish in color, and one of its primary uses is toothpaste. So you may have heard of fluorine. Well, fluorine is a substance that's derived from the mineral fluorite, and fluorine is also used in most toothpastes. It's a good it's a tooth cleaning agent, a mild abrasive, and some cities actually choose to put fluorine in their drinking water as well to promote good teeth care. San Antonio is actually one of those cities. The number 5 mineral on the mineral scale is apatite. Apatite has other uses as well. Those uses are many uses, but one of them is that it's actually a mineral inside of your bones. So the bones of most organisms contain a degree of apatite in them. Moving on to number 6, which is feldspar. Feldspar is actually used in the manufacturing of glass. So it's one of the components of glass and used to make various types of glass. You can even add more feldspar to increase the durability of the glass so that it can do things like resist heat and breakage. Now number 7 on the Mohs scale, and similar to feldspar in its use, is quartz. So slightly harder than feldspar, quartz is also an ingredient in glass. It does have other uses, but since I don't have a lot of space in the square right here, I'm not going to give you much more to write. But you'll notice that quartz is probably one of the most common minerals. It does tend to pop up most often, and this is also one of the more easily recognizable minerals, as most students tend to know what this one is just by looking at it. Number 8 is topaz. Now topaz is the first mineral in the Mohs scale where you start getting your gemstones. So topaz doesn't look much in its natural state, but if you give it a good polish, it ends up looking like this or this. So it's a pretty cool looking gem, but this comes back as a number 8 on the Mohs scale. And pretty much from the rest of the scale forward, you have minerals that can turn into gems. So for example, number 9 a mineral known as corundum can also be used in the creation of rubies and sapphires. So very precious minerals. When they do give a good polish, in its natural form it actually looks like this. That. So it's not much to look at in its natural form. In fact, most of the time if you find it in a Mohs kit, it's going to look like that. So it won't have the gleam of a jewel, or you won't buy a Mohs kit and have a jewel inside of it. And last but not least, on the Mohs scale at a number 10 is a diamond. It's the hardest naturally occurring substance on this planet. There's not much else to say about that. You guys should know what diamonds look like. So there you go, you got your typical diamond there. But in its rough form, it actually looks like this. Like that. So it looks just like a regular old rock. So even if you find a diamond, if you're lucky enough to find a naturally occurring diamond, you have to kind of know what you're looking for, because they look just like any other semi-clear rock. Okay, so that was the Mohs hardness scale. Feel free to go back and re-listen or pause to copy down what you may have missed. And thanks for checking in.